In this video, we will take a quick look at a model for the research process. This model, like most, is not perfect, but it serves as a good introduction to research methods. The research process wheel is a model for how research is done. It is a simplification, as a process is often much more chaotic than this model indicates. We will take a look at each of the elements of the research process individually. Note that in the stat2001 course that you did last semester, our focus was only on data analysis, which is number 6. In this course, you'll experience all the others except number 7. You will not be publishing. Don't forget to spend time sitting back and relaxing, even when you feel overwhelmed. Step 1. Having ideas for research is really easy. The hard part is converting the idea into researchable questions. I like to call that refining the idea. Refining an idea for research means to rewrite it as a researchable question. Take a look at these two research ideas on the slide. They are quite open-ended and could lead to many different research studies. Now take a look at these two examples carefully and think about the work you did in Math 11-12, specifically with sets. Do you see how the second statements are more focused and make the original problem well defined? Note that in the second example, tuberculosis, multiple questions would need to be answered in order to answer the original problem as posed. When refining the research idea, you must also consider the various research types. First, you must think about whether the research will be quantitative or qualitative, or perhaps mixed. A single research project could have many research types associated with it. The literature review aims to capture all that is known about the topic you wish to research. You may find that your research is not needed after a lit review, or you may find that there is much more important research question out there that needs to be solved before your original topic can be addressed. You'll be conducting a lit review within a few weeks. For you, the lit review will be important in a different way, as it will provide you with ideas of how to design your research study and how to describe what it is that you'll be studying. Step 3, elements of design. You should be somewhat familiar with each of the terms listed under elements of design. They all sound simple enough, but when you start working with them, you may find challenges with identifying the unit of analysis and separating out sampling design from recruitment. The unit of analysis is the what or the who that is being studied. Usually in healthcare research, the unit of analysis is pretty straightforward, as the research is interested in human health and treatments. But in HIM, you can imagine a study that has hospital bed as a unit of analysis rather than the patient that's in it. Sampling and sampling design presents individuals with the biggest conceptual challenge in understanding research and research design. Remember that in Stat 1013 we discussed that samples must be representative of the population they're taking from. This is important because we will be using information from the sample to make statements about the population. Make sure to pause the video and think about this process for a few minutes. Sampling design describes how individuals will be selected from the population. Thus, the target populations needs to be well defined as well. And the process of selection too. Random sampling is the most valid way of getting a sample that will be representative of the population. A sample produces a pool of potential participants who will be a good representation of the population. Recruitment is the process of convincing all of those individuals to actually participate in the research, as participation must be voluntary. The process must involve informing individuals of everything they will be asked to do in research and any private information that will be collected. Small incentives may be allowed, but nothing that would lead a research ethics board to believe that participation was coerced. Data collection. Once you have a pool of individuals who have agreed to participate in the research and they have provided their informed consent, researchers can begin collecting data. Data can be collected by observing individual behaviors or other characteristics, like measuring thumb length with a ruler, or by asking individuals to fill out a survey, which could be on paper, online, or could be an oral interview. Here's an example of the same research question being answered through two different data collection methods. The first, observation, and the second, survey. Do you think that observing the number of rough acts is more valid than asking parents, teachers, and their children whether boys play more roughly? Questions like this get at the idea of internal validity of the research design. This is one element of the research process with which I know you have experience from Stat 1013. Designing data analysis requires you to understand how the type of data you will be collecting will help you answer the research question you have posed. Writing a proposal is a huge job, and the documents you create can be up to 100 pages in length. You will have to fit your proposal to the requirement of the organization proposing the funding. At this point, I'd like to remind you that we're taking a look at a model for the research process. We have now gone through the first three elements. These first three contain instructions for the rest of the research. Bad design means invalid results. The next step in the research process helps catch bad design. Parts of a proposal. Research proposals are written to funders so that other researchers can investigate the design and give feedback to the applicant, and perhaps even approve the proposal for funding. Parts of a proposal I've outlined here are ones that you will be producing and handing in to me for approval. The more time you spend on design, the better your proposal will be and the less time you will be spending amending the proposal. If the research is well designed, then the data collection will be pretty easy to do. Remember that designing the data collection means also thinking about whether the data will be collected orally, online, or on paper. Of course, the first step is preparing the data, which you haven't had to do yet. There will be partially answered questions and missed questions and errors of various kinds in your data. Preparing the data is the worst part of data analysis. Remember this chart from Stat 1013? Pause the video, take a good look at it, and spend time memorizing this process. Once the data analysis is complete, you'll be able to write up a report on your findings. In funded research, the report could be extremely long, even greater than 100 pages. Luckily, your reports will only need to be 5 to 10 or something like that pages long. The notion of peer review is a very important part of scientific research. Peer review means that people who are interested in the same research you are interested in and who are just as smart or smarter than you read over your research report and judge its validity. The assumption is that one's peers will be critical where criticism is needed. Unfortunately, sometimes that's not the case. Now to get more ideas. Enjoy!